Well, when I was a child, we would go to our big outing was to go up to Norris Lake on Sunday afternoon. And on the way up there, there was an old home place that belonged to the Pyle family, some relation to Sergeant York's mother, who was a Pyle. And this was sitting in the yard, this bark grinding thing, and I never knew what it was, I guess, at the time, and I wasn't all that, it doesn't look so exciting anyhow. I never bothered to ask anybody, but later on, my competitor, who was really a dear friend, who had started collecting many years before I had, he would mention it when I would be with him. Said, Rice, you ought to buy that sometime. And I was wondering why he would tell me that I should buy it. And I said, well, how come you haven't bought it? He said, well, he won't sell it to me. And I later learned that they didn't get along too well, and he almost ran the old man off because he kept pestering him. But I became acquainted with Luther Pyle's, and I learned that the old home place that there had been a tannery there, and a grist mill, and a blacksmith shop, and over a period of time I bought a lot of items, and finally I broached the subject of this old bark grinder. And he said, well, I might let you have it. And so he did. He sold it to me. And later, when he was moving from the old home place, he and his wife were very old. He had no children or no relatives. And some of his distant relatives were sort of hauling the stuff off and throwing it away and whatever. And I told him I'd like to buy the stuff, the contents of the attic. The attic was full of items that belonged to his grandfather. This fellow's name was Luther Pyles. His grandfather's name was Luther Clear, and Luther Clear went blind, and this little boy, who then was an old man, would lead him around the place, and they'd go down to the tan yard and so forth. So it had a lot of nostalgic meaning to young Luther, but he let me have it. And when I was getting the items from the attic, I found an old pair of shoes that were handmade, hand tanned, and so forth. And I'm almost positive that they were made from the leather that was tanned there on the place.
Was the museum operational when you got this? Had the museum started?
Yeah, and I had it set up once, so you can see maybe where the little tangs come out, and it was pegged to a big timber or a stump or something so it would be secure. And when the horse went around and turned the inside portion of this, it ground the bark, and the bark would come out down at the bottom. I had it set up pretty good shape, but we built another building where this was set up, and we moved this here longer ago than I like to think about, and I never have got it set up. So I wanted to set this up to show, actually, this, even though it's a 200-year-old piece, is a more modern version of the stone process that you see over here.
Stone mason would just chip away at that to create
Yeah.
that shape.
It's here again, bigger in the center, where you'd be more apt to, where you'd have more tension and more apt to break, I guess. And the thinner, I guess I hadn't thought about this, but the more narrow the surface is,
Yeah.
the better it would grind, and
Weight,
it'd have more weight.
weight per square.
Yeah, very good. You must have majored in chemistry or something.
Yeah.
Engineering.
No, I know when somebody stands on me with little tiny shoes, it hurts more than they have big shoes. So you just shovel that up. You'd end up with, you think, something as fine as that detritus we're seeing there? Or do you think it'd be?
I think it would be. Stringy.
Yeah.
And,
of course, you know, they could just crush walnuts with that too.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think they'd tend to shoot out unless you just absolutely
Put your foot under it
yeah.
and mash your toenails.